Well, you can see how much I was paying attention there because I didn't even start it right away. Oh, well. Good evening, everyone. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Desiree.
And this... What?
I said or Des.
Oh, okay.
Depending on...
And this is the AskTheRaCast.
Whoop.
Yep.
So before we get started, though, we are not experts. We claim to be Oh, goodness. We do not claim to be spiritual gurus.
Yeah, not yet.
These episodes contain our interpretations or opinions of the material discussed. We implore you to not take our interpretation as the only understanding of the materials, and the materials themselves are the only authoritative sources available. We do encourage all listeners and viewers to come in and take our content to use... Oh, goodness. I messed that up bad. We encourage all listeners and viewers taking in our content to use their own discernment in regards to the materials we discuss. If one feels any attractive interest to the materials discussed herein, it is our perception that one should access the source material in their own study to come to their own conclusions. Links are to be provided.
Oh, yeah, those two. Even I'm slacking today.
Thank you for continuing to support and drive towards spiritual polarization. Welcome to the family. Let's go.
Yeah. And so I did get, I don't remember if I told you or not, I did get a response from LL about the clips.
I saw that. You sent that to me.
Did I send it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so they said it is okay for us to continue putting the clips at the beginning of the episodes, but my dumbass decided to not prepare it this week, which kind of sucks because this is one of my favorite sessions, but still, normally I would slip in the clip here.
That's okay. You just got really excited for the material that you just forgot to get the material.
No, truthfully, I just meditated for 45 minutes and forgot.
Or you just got really excited.
You don't need to make me sound better than I am. It's okay. So, we'll just get right into it. This session continues with a strong focus on the UAPs that we were talking about last session. You all right?
Yeah, I'm just moving my computer out of frame.
Oh, that doesn't really matter. It's not like we're sponsored by anybody.
Me.
Like if we were sponsored by HP, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, stick that laptop in there."
I mean, you can't see HP on it anyway.
Isn't that where the logo is? Is it on the top?
No, it's all covered.
Oh yeah, stickers. I forgot about that.
The HP is actually covered by the ghost sticker.
Yeah, they'd be like, "No, you got to take that sticker off." But we're not sponsored by anybody. So if anyone's looking to sponsor some spirituality stuff, actually, we both have 060 shirts on too. I just like their products. There's a ridiculous amount of info on the construction, the locations, the applications, control, and many aspects in regards to the UAP phenomena. And there's, as usual, a lot of material shared in this session. So much of which is incredibly mind-blowing. And so actually in this one, not much is going to be set aside. Previous sessions, we've kind of glanced over some of them because it wasn't like a super big deal. But this time we're going to basically cover almost every question and response. So this one's actually going to have a little bit of length to it. And Don actually starts right away this time.
All right.
So you want to be Don or Ra?
You can be Don this time.
Okay. There's big words, as usual.
There's going to be big words no matter what.
Yeah, PhD dissertation level stuff. It's okay. All right. So Don just jumps right in right at the beginning of the session. I have a question about what I call the advertising of the Confederation. It has to do with free will. Important part here. There have been certain contacts allowed, as I understand, by the Council, but this is limited because of free will of those who are not oriented in such a way that they could maybe want contact. This material that we are doing now will be disseminated. Dissemination of this material will be dependent upon the wants of a relatively small number of people on the planet. Us. This is what we're doing. We're, disseminating the material. Many people on the planet now want this material, but even though we disseminate it, they will not be aware it is available. Is there any possibility of creating some effect, which I would call advertising, or is this against the principle of free will?
And then Ra comes in going, I am Ra. Considering, oh my goodness, consider, if you will, the path your life experience complex has taken. Consider the coincidences and odd circumstances by which one thing flowed to the next. Consider this well. Each entity will receive the opportunity that each needs. This information source beingness does not have uses in the life experience complex of each of those among your peoples who seek. Thus, the advertisement is general and not designed to indicate the searching out of any particular material, but only to suggest the numenal.
Yeah, I don't numinal. I think
Numinal?
it's supposed to be nominal.
Okay, aspect of the illusion.
Fairly simple. Like I say, simple, but everyone's gonna get what they need, basically. Don, once again, there was a portion of the material yesterday, which I will read, where you say, there's a certain amount of landing taking place. Some of these landings are of your peoples. Some are of the entities known to you as the group of Orion. My first question is, what did you mean by the landings are of your peoples?
I am Ra. Your peoples have, at this time space present, the technological achievement, if you would call it that, of being able to create and fly the shape and type of craft known to you as unidentified flying objects. Unfortunately for the social memory complex vibratory rate of your peoples, these devices are not intended for the service of mankind, but for potential destructive use. This further muddles the vibratory nexus of your social memory complex, causing a situation whereby neither those oriented towards serving others nor those oriented towards serving self can gain the energy power which opens the gates to intelligent infinity for the social memory complex. This in turn causes the harvest to be small.
So did you catch that?
Basically, it's saying that mankind has made UFOs, but they're using it for war, basically.
Non-peaceful things.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Potential destructive use.
Uh-huh.
And that ends up causing issues and how people see things, which then thus would then turn into people not being able to polarize properly.
Yes, because there's more confusion.
And then the harvest is smaller because you have less people.
Yes.
To understand.
Yes. The most important thing for the normies out there is Ra coming out and saying, yeah, your government's flying saucers.
Yes.
Just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
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 This is why I love this one, because it gets better. And it's all right here, baby.
Oh, I need to make this one a little bigger.
I tried to
There we
keep
go.
them as big
I
as
had the
possible.
smaller
As you
screen.
can see, I've customized a lot of the layouts this time because there's a lot. Don comes back again and says, are these craft that are of our peoples from... Okay, hold on. Wow. Are these craft that are of our peoples from what we call planes that are not incarnate at this time? Where are they based?
I was
So-
saying, like, the planes, yes, we have planes, but the ones that aren't planes? Or are they saying planes as, like...
Astral planes.
Okay.
Stuff like that, yeah.
All right, so, I am Ra. These of which we spoke are of third density and are part of the so-called military complex of various of your people's societal divisions or structures. Wow. The bases are varied. There are bases, as you would call them, undersea in your southern waters, near the Bahamas, as well as in your Pacific seas and various places close to your Chilean borders on the water. There are bases upon your moon, as you call this satellite, which are at the time being reworked. There are bases which move about your lands. There are bases, if you would call them that, in your skies. These are the bases of your peoples, very numerous and, as we have said, potentially destructive.
So I think the ones in the skies he's talking about are satellite related. Though it is possible there are floating mega base things, just in our lower atmospheres. But I have more of an inclination to think he's talking about the satellites.
Maybe.
Because that's still in our skies.
Yeah.
And, it's not just in orbit. Like, most of them are still within atmosphere.
I feel like they would have said that since they did state satellite earlier, but that could also just be
that's
me
just because
interpreting it.
Well, the moon is called a satellite.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, you're right.
Because it orbits.
Yeah.
So, like, the International Space Station is in space. It's a satellite, technically, because it orbits. But we also have satellites by what we just call them for some reason that are still within upper and middle atmosphere.
Okay.
Like Elon's Starlink. Those are still in atmosphere.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, those are satellites as what we call them, but they're not scientific astrological satellites.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right? Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Basically saying, in just the United States, he's talking about peoples, but there are bases all over the world.
Now, does it mean
on
like
land,
military
underwater,
bases or like bases?
Yes.
Military bases?
And more.
Okay.
Research facilities that are, like Area 51 is a base, but it's also a research facility.
Okay.
Random example that popped into my head, extremely relevant, not intended. Bring up Area 51.
Aliens.
Where do the people who operate these craft come from? Are they affiliated with any nation on Earth? What is their source?
These people come from the same place as you or I. They come from the Creator.
This is Rob being a smartass, but also accurate.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Yes. And then he goes right into it, making fun of puny, stupid humans.
As you intend the question in its shallower aspect. I highly doubt there was
More
any...
cosmic humor.
I don't know if there was any sass in that. I highly doubt it.
Oh, man.
But I'm going to say it with some sass. As you intend the question in its shallower aspect, these people are those in your other selves' governments responsible for what you would term national security.
Mm-hmm. Am I to understand, then, that the United States has these craft and undersea bases?
It's probably best to understand that they don't mean just the United States. Our peoples would be everybody on the planet.
Okay, I was trying to be clever about posing Don's next question, because that's what it was.
Oh.
Trying to add some theater to the show.
I'm like, excuse me. I'm carrying you. Excuse me, that's not what it means.
Oh, but it does.
Okay, so I am wrong. You are correct.
United States has craft and undersea bases. Check. Conspiracy theorists.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I told you.
Okay. I saw one word and I'm excited, so let's go.
How did the United States learn of the technology to build these land? Now, the audio is inaudible on the tape. I don't recall specifically what Jim says in the audiobook. So we can make a little bit of an assumption here. How did the United States learn of the technology to build these land, or I'm going to assume it's bases or
I was going to say
facilities
it's
or something
probably
like that?
bases or something.
Yeah.
I am raw. There was a mind-body-spirit complex known to your people by the vibratory sound complex, Nikola.
Is that what got you excited?
Yes.
I mean, I told you Ron talks about him.
Otherwise known as Elon Musk.
Are you trying to put the assumption out there that Elon Musk is Nikola Tesla reincarnated?
Yes.
You know, what's funny is you're not the first one that said that around me. Because Mac and I have that same opinion. of that possibility.
Stupid smart. And stupid charismatic.
I don't know about charismatic. He is highly intelligent, though.
Well, he's pretty charismatic.
Have you listened to him in Joe Rogan's podcast?
Oh, yeah, you've shown me a few things. And
He has some clips.
he's also a very funny dude.
If you're clever,
Well, yeah.
normies are just like, wow, you're an asshole. And he's just like, no, I'm
it's
just smarter than
it's
you.
pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows he's smart, and he's gonna...
Oh, man, and hearing him talk about AI, he's just like, no, y'all are fucking dumb. Don't do that.
He knows
And
he's
he's been
smart, and
saying
he's
it
gonna
for
flaunt
decades.
it. That's the charisma.
I don't know if that's charisma as much as cockiness, perhaps.
Charisma comes into cockiness. It engulfs it, you know. Charming people, etc. Okay. This entity departed the illusion, and the papers contain the necessary understandings for taking by mind-body-spirit complexes serving your security of National Divisional Complex.
And this, I don't know if this was proven as a fact in the 80s when this happened or not, but it is now.
Thus, your people became privy to the basic technology. In the case of those mind-body-spirit complexes, which you call Russians, the technology was given from one of the... Oh my God. The technology was given from one of the Confederation in an attempt approximately 27 of you years ago to share information and bring about peace among your peoples.
Early 50s.
Russians?
In the early 50s.
Okay.
There's good people in Russia.
Oh, I know. I'm just being a butt. The entities giving this information were in error, but we did many things in the end of this cycle in attempts to aid your harvest, from which we learned the folly of certain types of aid. That is a contributing factor to our more cautious approach at this date, even as the need is... You distracted me. That is a contributing factor to our more cautious approach at this date, even as the need is power upon power greater, and your people's call is greater and greater.
So this is Cold War era stuff, early Cold War. This was when there's a lot of phenomena that were happening.
That's probably just the technology boom.
I just realized my VR sensor has fallen off of the wall
Uh-oh.
and it tumbled to the floor.
Uh-oh.
That sucks. Those are expensive. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
It was the technology boom.
Yeah, part of it, but nukes.
Technology boom.
The stuff, some of the stuff that was shared with Tesla was nuclear in nature, and
Boom.
oh, but
Yeah.
and it was taken by those negatively influenced to cause all these problems, and then that's why there was so much intervention from higher density in the forms of craft coming in and stopping basically global thermonuclear war at that point. And if you watch that Alien show on Netflix, you'll see it. They talk about it. Yeah, it's crazy. Don says, I'm puzzled by these craft that we have undersea bases for. There's another part that was inaudible. Is this technology sufficient to overshadow all other armaments? Do we have just the ability to fly in these craft, or are there any weapons like there are? Jesus, poor Don in this 80s recording. Were they given to us, I'm going to assume, as a weapon? Or are they just craft for transport? What is the basic mechanism of their, another inaudible part, I'm going to say use? It's really hard to believe is what I'm saying, which we have no idea what he's saying because 80s technology was cutting out bad. So once again...
Again, like any inaudible is our opinion of what would have been there.
Yes. They can't see this, but get the audiobook or the book yourself, and it talks about it a little bit. Some of them have editor's notes. There's many that don't. But like I said, when you listen to Jim read it, I think he fills in the gaps.
I mean, he was there, so I would assume
Yeah,
he'd
but
be
it
able
was
to
still
fill in the gaps.
even 25, 30 years ago from when he did the audiobook, if I remember. I think that came out in like mid-teens. So like it was a while ago even for him. So for him to remember, impressive.
Anyway. Why do you keep doing that?
Man make fire.
Keep distracting me.
Then take this away.
Goodness gracious. You're like a child. I gotta take things away from you.
I'm living in my inner child, of course.
Yeah, give me that too before you start burning
I'm not going to
it.
eat that.
No, I said before you start burning it.
I'm not going to
making
burn
more
it either.
fire.
That's dumb. That'll kill us.
All right, I am raw. The craft are perhaps misnamed in some instances. It would be more appropriate to consider them as weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before I go on, something
Yes.
just popped up in my brain,
Uh-huh.
just so viewers can understand. Things that Raw say are very audible because oh goodness gracious, Carla, very slow brain today, had a lot of microphones on her.
A maximum of 3 at some
So,
point.
because Don did not, there's a reason why the
Oddly
questions
enough.
are more inaudible than the responses.
Yeah.
Just so it's like, oh, you know, people.
Yeah. I mean, I find that odd, but
I mean,
it's, I mean,
the
when
answer is more important.
yes, but when you consider Don is a scientist, first off, and they're doing this as a scientific study, you'd think they'd cover all their grounds.
I would
Especially
feel like
after
he has
having-
the questions written out.
Um,
Like,
he actually did.
see,
When
that's the thing is like, I don't need this recorded. I have it right here.
some of them, so they would do meditations before the sessions, and then if they would have questions come in meditation, they would either just ask them or write them down. They would also go over the material from the previous sessions and write more questions from it. So like you'll hear Don reference previous stuff like he did early on in this one, and they'll go over it more. But then there's also situations where in the middle of the session he'll be like, oh, and then they'll carry on this one topic that's all fresh questions that just come up. So not everything's written down.
True, but I just decided to put that out there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay, so I'll start over. I am raw. The craft are perhaps misnamed in some instances. It would be more appropriate to consider them as weaponry.
Bum, bum, bum.
The energy used is that of the field of electromagnetic energy, which polarizes the Earth sphere. The weaponry is of two basic kinds, that which is called by your peoples psychotronic, and that which is called by your peoples particle beam. Ugh, science. Made a science boner.
I have no idea what psychotronic means.
Oh, anyway. I don't want to try to explain it because I'm going to get it wrong.
Well, then you're not really explaining it, are you?
No, I'm not really. I mean, I've heard of it and I can somewhat explain.
I would assume it's a it's a beam of some sort that is psychological in nature.
It's a
So like those sound
psychological
wave
electronic
things
wave.
that will like mess with your head with waves.
It's kind of like it's like tones.
Toads?
Tones.
Yeah, so like the giant speaker thing where like the military can blast it at you and it confuses you or makes you shit your pants.
Yeah. Or they have the thing where what do? They put in Justin Bieber or something to upset people for hours.
That just sounds like interrogation techniques. Torture people.
Our military is horrible. Anyway.
I mean, absolutely.
The amount of destruction which is contained in this technology is considerable, and the weapons have been used in many cases to alter weather patterns and to enhance the vibratory change which engulfs your planet at this time.
Go fucking figure. More conspiracy theories. Be like, hey, government's changing the weather. Raw's like, yes.
Super cereal.
Super science. Now we kind of got a run and gun thing here where it's a quick question and answer. Still big information, obviously. How have they been able to keep this a secret? Why aren't these craft in use for transport? Because they're too small.
The governments of each of your societal division illusions desire to refrain from publicity so that the surprise may be retained in case of hostile action from what your peoples call enemies.
So stupid human things. Everybody has it, but everybody doesn't know everybody has it, so everybody thinks they're going to surprise everybody else with them in the time that they think they're going to do it.
Always expect the unexpected.
Spanish Inquisition. How many of these craft does the United States have? Ready to get your mind blown.
I am wrong. The United States has 573. 573 at this time. They are in the process of adding to this number.
January 28th, 1981, they have 573. We are now 30 years later. How much you want to bet they've more than doubled that?
Oh, it's definitely more than doubled.
Yeah. What is the maximum speed of one of these craft?
Why does it matter?
Because Don's a scientist.
Yeah, you're right. I am wrong. The maximum speed of these craft is equal to the Earth energy squared. This field varies. The limit is approximately 1/2 the speed, or, oh my goodness, 1/2 the light speed, as you would call it. I almost said just speed of light.
I mean, it's same thing.
Yeah. This is due to imperfections in design. Silly humans.
You can only go half light speed.
My race car can go faster. I get the light speed. What's your guess?
I mean, Raw can just... Hey. Would this type of craft totally solve or come close to solving a lot of the energy problems as far as transport goes? There's more inaudible parts here. That we're used to transporting inaudible, transporting inaudible. I don't know what to put in there.
I am wrong.
Yeah, sorry.
The technology...
Get the audiobook, I suppose.
Yeah. The technology your peoples possess at this time is capable of resolving each and every limitation which plagues your social memory complex at this present nexus of experience.
Hold there. In the 80s, we have the technology to solve absolutely everything that's a problem.
Yep.
Which goes to say...
Remember that cancer that your mom died of? Yeah, she could have been cured.
We probably had it decades before then, and maybe even centuries before then.
Our government sucks.
Yep.
Just goes to prove the conspiracy theory that the government just wants to kill us for money.
Well, I mean, that's... If you don't think that's fact, then you are completely delusional.
There are many people who are like that.
I know, and it's unfortunate, and that's why we're doing this.
All right.
However. Oh, okay, you found it. Not bad.
However, the concerns of some of your beings with distortions towards what you would call powerful energy cause these solutions to be withheld until the solutions are so needed that those with the distortion can then become further distorted in the direction of power.
Let's add something on top of government. Government and big business.
100%.
Because most of the shit that people think is just the government is actually corporations doing with government input and approval, per se.
Basically, the government's, you better do this.
No. The government's not even saying that. It's like these businesses come up and say, hey, we're doing this.
Oh.
It's either you let us do it and you can have a piece, or we'll just take over.
Gotcha. Okay.
At the same time you mentioned that some of the landings were of our peoples, you also, so he's continuing on with his question from earlier, you also mentioned that some were of the Orion group, We talked a little about the Orion group, but why do the Orion group land here? What is their purpose?
I'm sorry.
I know I said it weird because of my impediment.
Sorry. Orion. I'm not making fun of you.
I know you're not. I'm laughing at myself inside too because I heard it and I'm just like, fuck. I'm going to keep going though.
Orion.
Hawaiian. For everyone watching and listening, I have a speech impediment with R's and L's, so I do sound like a child at times.
Labels. As you would tell me.
Yes. But I mean, it's something I have that I can't physically get over. It's due to probably because my tongue is so big.
You probably can. You just got to believe in yourself and do it.
Oh, you're right.
You just tell me all these things. I'm just going to slap it back at you.
Please do. I need to be reminded of things too.
Okay. So,
my large tongue is a problem. It doesn't fit in my mouth.
I don't think you can manifest a smaller tongue, but
I'm sure I could.
If you bite the tip of it again, you might be able to get a smaller one.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
Anyway, I am Ra. I'm not, but that's what this says. I am Ra. Their purpose is conquest.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike those of the Confederation who wait for the calling, the so-called Hawaiian group calls itself to conquest.
Specifically, what do they do when they land?
There are two types of landings. In the first, entities among your peoples are taken on their craft and programmed for future use. They get probed. I'm joking.
You're joking, but yes.
Probe up the butt. Satellites coming out.
I mean, maybe, not necessarily, but usually like putting electronics in people.
Yeah. I mean, the government does that anyway.
Well, yeah, but this is like signal receiver things that can be activated, which the government does that too.
You're just proving a point.
Yeah, I mean, the government is very, very negatively oriented, so it goes hand in hand and they would work together because they've been influenced by.
Possible I don't want to say people, but pieces of the Orion group interwoven into government, military.
Yes, but probably not physically. There's probably attachments to those in those positions.
I mean, like, their higher selves would be part of this Orion.
No. Higher cells are always positive.
Oh, okay.
Because they're sixth density.
Right, you can't be negative
It is
sixth.
in all of Ra's knowledge and experience, it is essentially impossible to become sixth negative.
Except for
But
one
Ra
being.
also says higher self is sixth.
Isn't
way
there,
later.
Like one being that became that?
No.
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 I thought there was like one.
Nope.
Oh.
Not
What
a
am I
single one.
thinking? I don't know. Anyway. There are 2 or 3 levels of programming. First, the level that will be discovered by those who do research. Second, a triggering program. Third, a second and most deep triggering program, crystallizing the entity, thereby rendering it lifeless and useful as a kind of beacon. I almost said bacon. This is a form of landing. The second form is that of landing beneath the Earth's crust, which is entered from water. Again, in the general area of your South American and Caribbean areas, and close to the so-called North Pole. The bases of these people are underground.
Portals into the center of the Earth in the North and South Pole. He doesn't say South Pole, but the North Pole. And there's all those things on the interwebs of like space shots of the North Pole where there's a hole.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's so much shit coming out now that is like science of, oh damn, I was supposed to add extra links in here too. Oh, it's okay.
Man, yours.
Dude, there was so much in here that I slacked. I apologize. I just saw it now. But like, there's imagery and science and all that shit going on now. That is coming out now. That is showing what Ra's talking about. Once again, why I fucking love this session.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Don continues. What do the Orion group have? What's the objective with respect to the conquest of the Orion group?
I am wrong. As we have said previously, their objective is to locate certain mind-body-spirit complexes which vibrate in resonance with their own vibrational complex, then to enslave the unelite, as you may call those who are not of the Orion vibration.
So they're here to basically do what our government's doing, is contain and control. But to still maintain their polarization, they still have to abide by free will. So the people that they enslave do it willingly, which is difficult and not difficult at the same time, depending on your... Huh?
It's like selling your soul.
Essentially. I mean, eventually everybody returns to source anyways, but there will come a time where you'll realize what's going on and then fight for the power to take over those around you, which is why it's so hard and nigh impossible for negatives to go into higher densities, because 6 is unity.
Yeah.
Can't be united if you're entropic, or entropied, whatever you want to call it. So it's crazy. I love it. Don continues. Was the landing at Pascagoula in 1973 when Charlie Hickson was taken on board this type of landing?
I've never heard this name before.
I talk about it a little bit.
Okay. I am wrong. The landing of which you speak was what you call an anomaly.
From the Malalala.
Yeah. It was neither the Orion influence nor our peoples in thought form, but rather a planetary entity of your own vibration which came through quarantine in all innocence in a random landing.
What did they do to Charlie Hickson when they took him aboard?
I am wrong. They used his mind-body-spirit complex's life experience, concentrating upon the experience of the complexes of what you call war.
So they basically talked to him about war. And I've got a note in here that Charlie Hickson was abducted by UAP in 1973. And it's actually well recorded, and sources can be found all over the internet in regards to the event. And I said a link will be provided to one we found, but I mean, just Google Charlie Hickson 1973. You can look up Pascagoula, Pascagoula, with Charlie Hickson, and I mean, there's stuff everywhere. I can actually get in here real quick. You can go ahead and continue if you want.
Okay.
I'm going to get a little source here. I'll just put in the wiki page.
Okay. So Don asks, how did they use them? Ra goes into what they say. I am Ra. The use of experience is to learn. Consider a race who watches a movie. It experiences a story and identifies with the feelings, perceptions, and experiences of the hero.
So this, I don't know if they get into his head and see it that way, or like a telepathy thing, or something. Maybe they have a projector they just plug in your neck and it flips.
It definitely goes in the butt.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Aliens. It's all in the butt. I mean, shit. Makes sense. Why the hell not?
Oh, itchy.
Don't scratch that.
I'm not scratching whatever you're thinking of. It's a different spot.
Okay. Was Charlie Hickson originally of the same social memory complex as the ones who picked him up?
I am wrong. This entity of vibratory sound complex did not have a connection with those who used him.
I put that in there because it's important in the sense that you don't always have to be connected to anything that happens to you, you know. Did those who used him use his war experiences to learn more of the Law of One?
I am wrong. This is correct.
Because everything is the Law of One. Were the entities that picked him, is that the normal configuration of these entities? They, and this is another inaudible part, and I think he's going to say seem rather unusual.
I am wrong. The configuration of their beings is their normal configuration. The unusualness is not remarkable. We ourselves, when we chose a mission among your peoples, needed to study your peoples, for had we arrived in no other form than our own, we would have been perceived as light.
So they just came as what they are, and Rob provided the example of themselves. Well, would you like some water?
I'm okay.
What density did the entities who picked up Charlie Hickson come from? He just asked the same question twice. I don't need to ask it again.
Okay.
I don't know why, but he did.
I don't know. I was just waiting for you to finish the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
I am wrong. The entities in whom you show such interest are third density beings of a fairly high order. We should express the understanding to you that these entities would not have used the mind-body-spirit complex, Charlie, except for the resolve of this entity before incarnation to be of service.
So, according to this, Charlie got abducted because his pre-incarnated decision was to be completely of service to everybody. I find that interesting, that connection. Like, why would that make it to where you're going to be abducted? To serve possibly negative entities. I don't think that's clearly stated that they are here, but just got abducted, which seems negative in nature.
It seems negative, but it doesn't always mean anything.
Yeah.
That's a human word, abducted.
I mean, all of these are human words.
Yes.
What was the home or origin of the entities that took Charlie?
I am wrong. These entities are of the Sirius galaxy.
Where is that?
Somewhere out there.
Okay, I
in
figured you'd know.
space. Look on a map.
Yeah.
It'll show you somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not Sirius Black. I promise you.
That's
just
a
Sirius.
fictional person.
But is he?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because it's in a book.
Just because it's in a book does not mean it's a fictional character.
It's in a fiction novel.
People can write fiction and have real people in it.
The most startling information that you've given me, which I must admit I'm having difficulty believing, you're not the only one, is that the United States has 573 craft like you describe. How many people in our government are aware that we have these? How many total people of United States designation are aware of this, including those who operate the craft?
I am wrong. The number of your peoples varies, for there are needs to communicate at this particular time-space nexus so that the number is expanding at this time. The approximate number is 1500. It is only approximate for as your illusionary time-space continuum moves from present to present as this nexus many are learning.
Where are these craft constructed?
These craft are constructed one by one in 2 locations. In the desert or arid regions of your so-called New Mexico, and in the desert or arid regions of your so-called Mexico. Both installations being under the ground. Oh, goodness.
Area 51.
I just find it funny that they both are in Mexico.
No, but one's new.
They're fake.
There's also that S4 thing that What's His Nuts was a part of.
Ole.
I am really out of it because I usually can pull his name out of a hat. Bob Lazar. Area S4. Do you say the United States actually has a manufacturing plant in Mexico?
No. I'm joking. I am wrong. I spoke thusly. Like, did I stutter? Human? I am wrong. I spoke thusly. May I, at this time, reiterate that this type of information is very shallow and of no particular consequence compared to the study of the law of one. However, we carefully watch these developments in hopes that your peoples are able to be harvested in peace.
But Ra, aliens.
But aliens.
That is Don's primary interest.
I mean, it's science.
That's why this began.
It's science.
Well, and he's a UFO researcher as well.
Science.
Well, was.
Aliens.
Aliens. Okay. I am totally aware how this line of questioning is of no consequence at all, but this particular information is so startling to me that it makes me question your validity on this. Up until this point, I was in agreement with everything. This is very startling, and it does not seem possible that the secret could have been kept 27 years and that we are operating these craft. I apologize for my attitude, but I thought I would be very honest about this. It is unbelievable to me that we would operate a plant in Mexico, outside of the United States, to build these craft. Maybe I'm mistaken. These craft are physical craft built by our physical people. I could go get in one and ride in one. Is that correct? I added the sass.
I understand this is in the 80s and we're in the now where it's like, okay, yeah, duh. So then at that time I understand the confusion of the are you talking about?
Well, even now, most people are going to say the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm just, really?
This is literally written, and to quote Jesus, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. You're going to call this hoopla until you're ready to understand it.
There's no need to be rude.
Also, aliens are shallow, apparently. And, you know, the military-industrial complex is shallow.
Well, that was a given. I am wrong. This is incorrect. You could not ride one. The United States, as you call your societal divisional complex, creates these as a type of weapon.
I apologize. I'm not laughing at what Ross said. I'm laughing at how you said it. You cannot ride one. So Don comes in. There are no occupants then? No pilot, shall I say?
I am wrong. This is correct.
Well, then how are they controlled?
I am wrong. They are controlled by a computer from a remote source of data.
Okay. That's
Drones.
where this line of questioning stops. This is the 80s. Drones are not commonplace.
It's like, how is their computer all the way over here operating this thing all the way over here?
Yeah, which does come back later. Like, they speak on it later, but still, like, I can imagine Don and Jim sitting there like...
They're just kind of like...
What? A computer can control something from far away? Wirelessly?
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi is not even a word.
I know.
Not for public use.
Well, see? Then it might have been a word already.
Well, I mean, yeah. But not for public use.
What does Wi-Fi stand for?
I don't know.
Okay. You know, I've just noticed I've never known what Wi-Fi stands for.
Wireless fidelity.
Okay.
That's a guess.
That's a cool podcast.
Why do we have a plant in Mexico?
In Mexico?
Yeah, that's what he says. You're really going to look up what this Wi-Fi stands for? Wireless fidelity. Look at me. Science. That, my friends, was not a opinion.
No, that was Google.
No, that was my brain.
Maybe you just access Google from your brain.
And I can't say R's and L's properly.
Can Google?
Can Google talk?
I'll ask your phone.
That's not Google. That's Google Assistant.
You're right.
Uh-huh.
It's the assistant of the Google.
Uh-huh. So does Google talk?
I don't know. Does the Googles talk?
I don't know. But Ra, why do we have a plant in Mexico?
Okay. I am Ra. The necessity is both for dryness of the ground and for a near total lack of population. Therefore, your so-called government and the so-called
government
and the so-called government of your neighboring geographical vicinity arranged for an underground installation. The government officials who agreed did not know the use to which their land would be put, but thought a governmental research installation for use in what you would call bacteriological warfare.
Which apparently that's okay. Like Mexico's okay with hooking up with the states to be like, oh yeah, biowar. That's fine. But
Biological warfare.
yeah, so that's okay because they did it.
I don't know why I said biological. It's bacteriological.
Same idea. But they're not using it for that. Which makes me wonder which one's actually worse in the minds of the government. Biological warfare or creating UFOs. Like if the guise is biowar, is the control of UFOs that crazy to them? When they're okay with sharing these facilities for biowarfare? Like how fucked up is that? Government, man. And there's obviously industry involved there too. But here we're going to get into another person that we can do some research on. Is this the type of craft that Dan Fry was transported in?
Another person I'd ever heard of.
I haven't heard of this one either. Outside of this.
I am Ra. The one known as Daniel was, in thought form, transported by Confederation thought form vehicular illusion in order to give this mind-body-spirit complex data so that we might see how this type of contact aided your people in the uncovering of the intelligent infinity behind the illusion of limits. Daniel Fry has multiple contacts for extraterrestrials. This is a major part of the White Sands experience. A link to the research site about him will be provided. As usual, there are a ton of controversies about him. I definitely cannot do that fast talking at like the end of commercials going. If you have any issues with this, please contact your doctor at this time.
So there's a DanielFry.com.
Is it like Fry? Because they have Frye.
Yeah, that was in the book, and then doing the research, it was FRY. Died 9 days before my birthday. Maybe I'm Daniel Fry. That was a beautiful facepalm. So I'll just go ahead and add his wiki. And then I will...
Wikipedia's a really bad source.
Go to... I mean, there's Britannica, too.
It's a bad source, too.
But how about DanielFry.com? No, it's not his website. But all the information is in there. And basically, you can look up anything about the White Sands experiments, and he's a part of that too. Would it be possible for any of us to have some type of contact with the Confederation in a more direct way?
My stomach decided to growl at that time. I am Ra. In observing the distortions of those who underwent this experimental sequence, we decided to gradually back off, shall I say, from direct contact in thought form. The least distortion seems to be available in mind-to-mind communication. Therefore, the request to be taken aboard is not one we care to comply with. You are most valuable in your present orientation.
So, no. Because the message is more distorted, apparently, when picked up. Another big Don question, so hear me well. The reason that I've questioned you so much upon the craft, which you say the United States government operates, is that if we include this in the book, it will create numerous problems. It is something that I am considering leaving out of the book entirely, or I am going to have to question you in considerable detail about it. It's difficult to even question in this area, but I would like maybe to ask a few more questions about it, with still the possible option of leaving it out of the book. What are the diameter of the, What are the diameter of these craft the United States, another inaudible portion, have, builds,
uses,
constructs? Many options. Once again, get the audiobook.
flies, does not ride.
No, you may not ride. It's not a motorcycle.
I am Ra. I suggest that this be the last question for this session. We will speak as you deem fit in further sessions, asking you to be guided by your own discernment only. The approximate diameter, given several model changes, is 23 of your feet as you measure.
So as I said last time, we're going to start kind of excluding the closing questions and statements because they become to be repetitive in the sense of it is good that Don asks him at the end of every session. However, it gets to the point where Ra just repeats the same thing over and over again. So I personally don't find that incredibly important. Just so long as everyone is aware that it still happens. Like it doesn't stop ever. So he just asks about Carla.
So I am Ra. The instrument is well balanced. It is possible to make small corrections in the configuration of the spine of the instrument that it be straighter. Continue also to carefully monitor the placement and orientation of the symbols used. This particular session, the sensor is slightly off, and therefore this instrument will experience a slight discomfort.
Is the sensor off with respect to angle or with respect to lateral displacement?
There is an approximate 3-degree displacement for proper perpendicularity. I am Ra. Go away, fly. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one creator, Adonai.
Aliens. All kinds of aliens.
And Don going, what the are you talking about?
Right? Isn't it great? I told you this is good. I've been talking to you about this and Mac for forever. I'm just like, yo, Ross straight up comes in and says that the United States has hundreds of UFOs. And everybody's like, get out of here.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Yes?
I lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Give me a second.
Okay. Get back on the rails.
it makes sense in the fact of if you think about the government and how slimy, shady, whatever you want to call it.
Bad.
Yeah. Just how the government is and how they will do anything to get ahead.
Uh-huh. Let's also keep in mind that it's not it anymore, especially it can't be just the government. It is the corporations too.
Yeah. I don't know. You can probably just say officials of higher.
Yeah, officials and people with more money than sense.
Yeah.
Or with so much money that their sense is so negative that they don't care.
That's why they're saying expect the unexpected, because they're always trying to expect the unexpected, and people are just going to keep making it.
And follow the money.
Like China, they have many more nuclear weapons than the United States does. One, because they produce out the butt, but...
Do they?
Oh, yeah. They have...
Where'd you hear that from?
Online sources.
Online sources?
Yes.
Internet?
Yeah.
You're believing the internet? Did Google say that?
No.
Oh.
A researcher said that.
A researcher said that?
Yeah, I don't remember their fracking name. But I was actually part of my American military history course that I had to do research for.
Right, and they were talking about this research was talking about how China's got a bunch of nukes.
Yeah, like even there, I think I found a video too when I was doing it that it shows like, you know, like those videos where they're like, here's this, and then it's like, this is the number, then it goes to the next one and it gets larger, and then it just keeps getting larger, and then it starts getting smaller as you keep going.
Yeah.
So like it was like China and then like Russia, I think, are like the top two that have the most nuclear weapons.
Huh.
Well, we're kind of down here in the itty bitties. Because, one, they're bigger, and two, they produce out the butt.
Right.
But I'm just saying that it's just, it goes to show that people always try to expect the unexpected. And they always try to expect the worst.
Maybe it's because we have more UFOs. Maybe that's why we don't have as many nukes.
I don't know. A lot of the nuclear power that we have are actually expired.
The nukes that we have are expired?
Yes. And if they were to go off, they would probably blow us up before they could blow anybody else up.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty out there on their side that's the same way.
Oh, probably. But I'm just, like, it's in that whole, like, that act that I keep forgetting the name of. You can look up online and see any government document.
Freedom of Information Act?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about, like, how many nukes we have and which ones are expired and blah, blah, blah.
Those aren't completely
Oh, I know they're
accurate,
not completely
though.
accurate.
And
but
they're not going to divulge everything because
I know.
part of that act is they don't have to release anything that can hinder national security.
I know. I'm just saying, like...
Well, you may, but some people listening won't.
Based on that...
So apparently aliens are no longer a worry of national security.
I feel like they haven't been a worry in a very, very long time.
I mean, technically, they were never really a worry to begin with.
Yeah.
It's just the government wanting control.
Yeah. It's not.
Which back then was probably more so government than corporations. In fact, I know a lot of it was like the beginning of Area 51 and all those crashed vessels and all that shit was 100% the government, because there's newspapers that came out from like police departments and stuff like that were like, oh, hey, we recovered this and that and the other thing. And then, like, the government catches wind of it, and they're like, oh, you got to shut that piece down. You got to say it. That's where the whole weather balloon conspiracy came from. The government put that out. So, that's all of this session. What did you think of aliens? I mean, granted, this whole thing is aliens, per se, but...
Aliens.
Aliens. And it continues.
I mean, I would assume so.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where it starts getting... I told you it takes a couple sessions. to like start throwing some fucking, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Curveballs?
No.
Fastballs?
No.
Balls?
Balls.
Bows?
They start, I mean, just the fucking, like, the
The meat and potatoes?
yeah, the surprising, like, the whole, like, yeah, you know, Law of One, important. Ra's history, important. Motherfucking shit that applies to right now. This is all in my opinion. And then, like,
Aliens.
I think what I'm trying to get at is these sessions here are coming in and reinforcing conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the fucking kick in the nuts.
Don't worry, conspiracy theorists. You can take your tinfoil hats off now.
You didn't need them to begin with. Shit.
Nope.
If anything, you just gave them a sign like, "Hey, come to me."
I mean, they're pretty fashionable. So, I mean...
The ones that make you look like a Teletubby.
I don't want to talk about Teletubbies. They're terrifying.
Did you see that TikTok of the person doing cutouts of the Teletubbies and sliding them over cat faces? So it was just like a ring, and they would go up and have the symbol of the different Teletubbies. They would just slide it over cats.
No.
It's hilarious.
That's horrible.
Oh, it's hilarious.
If you go into the back of the Teletubbies, that's horrible.
Go to the what?
Go look at the background of Teletubbies and tell me that the show is not horrible.
The background?
The background.
It's just hills and then a sun that's
It's not, though. It's not.
What are you talking about?
You don't have to do it now. Do it later.
The background of Teletubbies. I keep on hitting shift. Are the Teletubbies on drugs? What are you talking about?
You're just scrolling past every single thing. The truth behind Teletubbies.
Oh, that's what you meant by the background?
Yeah.
Oh. The untold truth of the Teletubbies.
Gosh, it's terrifying.
Dude, I watched the Teletubbies.
So did I, but it's terrifying.
So there was a little problem with rabbits dying and reproducing on set? Oh, what?
Okay, this can be for later.
Yeah. I guess look up the truth, the dirty truth behind the Teletubbies, I suppose.
It's horrifying. You'll never look at it the same, I promise.
I mean, I don't look at it the same anyways because I watched it as a child and now.
But you're not going to look at it and go, oh, it's a cute little innocent children's so. No.
Well, I've known that for a while because nothing's innocent for children in America.
That
especially,
is correct.
But I mean,
but still, I'm just saying, like,
many
it's
other places too.
very brainwashing. There's a lot of brainwashing in it.
No, to watch TV.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, like, it's bad.
Okay, so look up Charlie Hickson and Daniel Fry and the truth behind the Teletubbies. That is the result of
I would like
this
a
episode.
50-page paper by the end of this week.
Don't do that. We are not terrible people.
No.
So I think we're good. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think in the comments and reviews. Hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment. Send us an email at AskTheRaCast@gmail.com. Thumbs up, thumb down, comments, subscribe, all that other good shit. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Good night. Why you gotta be weird like that? You stick your tongue out at the end of like every episode now. Okay. Ever since I said
I know.
I laughed at it.
It's been a thing now.
Huh.